Hey, good morning. I'm just getting the live set up in all the places. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to another Wednesday morning. I realized I just forgot to put this on my stories on Instagram to announce that I was going live again this morning. But you know what? It's all good. Hey, Seminaire, Cafe Co. over on Instagram. Let me make sure that this is moving to over here. I'm really excited this morning, as always, um, because this morning I want to talk about. Hey, Giovanna, glad you can join this morning. Make sure y'all say hello in the chat. You know, I love when I get to shout you out and say hello to you. I'm so thankful that you're here to talk about some more stuff specifically for Black women. Yes. Hey, Giovanna. She just shouted out in the chat. So this morning, I want to talk about specifically around a topic around stop using work to prove your worth. Stop using work to prove your worth. And I think it's a really important topic, but I also want to back up and say, and let me just be clear here. I got my notes because I'm trying to stay on track, y'all. So forgive me if I look down. I'm just trying to keep myself from making this super long. I want to get to the point. Um, so I think what's important about this is that in this culture, especially this culture of America at this point, it's really easy that your job title is the first thing that you say about you. Okay. So think about it this way. If you're a parent and your child is going to a new school or they're just going to a next grade, one of the first ways that you introduce yourself is you say, well, what do you do? Or they ask you, what do you do? Or you tell them what you do. On your dating profile, the first thing it is that, what's your job title? Or when you're making new friends, what do you do? And the reason I hate that is because none of that really gets down to the passion of what you're passionate about, what you dream about, what's your character, any of the deep things that really make you actually who you are. I feel like it's limiting. It's super limiting. And it means that it's more about this competition, I feel like, towards where are you in a pecking order rather than actually understanding the value of that person and what their worth is and what they bring to the world and what gets them excited. Like, nothing about your job title actually gets down to the core of who you are. I agree. Giovanna says it's very limiting. It is so limiting. Having your job title be the most important thing about you is limiting. And we are so much more than the money we make and so much more than how we make money, right? Our If our job was the most important thing about us, then why would we have a life? That is so counterintuitive. It's not, and not only is it counterintuitive, it's just flat out not right. Let me check. Okay, so Giovanna says we're so much more than what we do. I agree. So much more than what we do. What we do is only a small, very small, minute part about us. Instead, I would love to challenge us to really think about who we are and how does that really make, like, how do we actually get to the point where we're shifting from asking this question when we meet somebody? Hey, it's so nice to meet you, so and so. I'm glad I got your name. What do you do? Instead of asking that, is there not a better way to introduce ourselves? Is there not a better way to get acclimated to who we are? Is there not a better way to actually show that we have worth and value? Because at the core of it, our work is only a small part of what we do. It rarely actually connects to our passion. A lot of us don't make money based on our passion. Um, a lot of times, work is actually killing our dreams because we're so busy being tied to the job that we're actually not having the time to go and spend on the things that we actually love. So, like how I think it's important that we can actually make this shift instead of making work so important and so much of how we interact with others and how we say that we have worth and value and really try to climb our way to the top of the pecking order. Let's actually just shift that and think about it in a very different way. So, okay, I didn't got off track and I didn't start going. If you're new here, if you're on LinkedIn, if you're on YouTube, make sure you say hello in the chat. I'm Rashida. It's nice to meet you. Make sure you introduce yourself in the chat. I would love to say hi to you. Thank you for getting on this live today. I am a life coach for Black women, and I help us quit being strong Black women. I help us redefine who we are beyond work. And I am so excited to help us actually become that woman because we were never meant to be defined by work. We are so much more than that. And I get excited about it. I have a coaching program where I help Black women make this shift from being this strong Black woman into becoming the woman that that God has always known us to be, that we've always known is inside of us, but we just haven't had the space to be. We're taking that back. And I love helping people make that transition through my coaching program. So you can check that out at meantformore.yourdreamstrategist.com. And then also on this channel, anytime I go live, any videos, you can expect that it's all about having fun around this topic and then also really getting deep into our passions, our like traveling, eating good food, physical wellness. Those are all different topics that I talk about. Hey, it's seen you. Hey, Jasmine. I'm so glad you got to join this morning. This is fun. So I was just introducing myself, but I also want to make sure I get back into this topic. So I was already passionate about this topic, but then the other day, one of my favorite creators, Stephanie Perry, she did a live stream talking about, is your job a job or is it actually your master? Because we all know that so much of what work is in America keeps us stuck, keeps us shackled, keeps us chained to actually showing up and just doing the work. It doesn't really give us the autonomy, the power to do anything more than that. And her conversation was all about how do we change that? So I want to talk about that same topic, but I want to talk about it from a different context. So I'm going to put the link to her video in the description because you should watch that too. But I want this to be like a different side of that same conversation because, as I was saying, we need to stop using work to prove our worth. Like we are already so much more than our job title, but a lot of times we at this point we've been bred for so long to be workhorses to um make that the most important thing about us that we actually don't even know how should I introduce myself if I'm not introducing myself by what I do. Um oh, something else just come up on my screen. Let me put that down. Uh so if that is, something that you relate to and you're tired of being defined only by your job title, then I am inviting you to be a part of this conversation as well. So I would love for you to tell me, like, I read this comment the other day. It says, oh, I wish I had it. Let me see. I think I have it right here. She said, um, being defined by my job title is like being put in a box and it doesn't even remotely get to the core to the core of who I am. Like it's she's like, I'm so tired of it being I'm so tired of feeling like I'm limited. I'm limited to that. And Giovanna said something about that earlier too. So with that being said, I I have been asking myself, and this is something I teach in my program. If I'm not defined by my job title, then what am I actually defined by? What is the context that I want to be known by? And I think that when it comes down to it for me, Most of us here know that we wouldn't be here, that we wouldn't be that we wouldn't be where we are today without God. So instead, I want us to connect back to, first and foremost, like, your worth comes from God, friend. And I love to think of it in this way. It's a little bit of analogy. So roll with me. Like, stay with me here for a second. I truly believe that when God thought of us, whether it's Seminaire, Jasmine, Giovanna, when God thought of you, okay, he said Giovanna. And then when he said Giovanna, he went out on his beautiful wraparound porch. He sat in a comfortable Adirondack chair and he started thinking about you. And then he started putting out the characteristics of who you are. He started thinking, this woman has a tenderness about her. She has um a directness about her. She has an adventure inside of her. And he started putting all of these words together, but then he took it another step further. He gave you this innate motivation, this innate why, this passion inside of you. And he knew that that was going to get you inspired, encouraged. He knew that these were the things that made you who you are. And let me be clear, none of those things have anything to do with your job title. The same for you, Seminaire. The same for you, Jasmine. Like, I really want you to sit back and think about when God was sitting in that chair and he was thinking about how he was going to form you. Yes, he was thinking about the exterior things, but he was also so deeply thinking about your heart and how he was going to put all these different characteristics of who you are together and the motivation that is inside of you. So, I talked a little bit more about the characteristics in a different video called Quit Being a Strong Black Woman. It's exhausting. So, we go into the depths of that. Today, I want to talk about the why. What's the why that's deep inside of you that gets you up every morning, even when things are hard, even when you're like, there's got to be more than life than this? What keeps us going? And a lot of times we call it passion, but I still think it's a little bit more dynamic than that because a lot of us have turned passion into what we do, but instead, passion is really, again, pulling it back a little bit more. Passion is more about who we are. So when I think about you, Seminaire, I think about, you, of course. Hey, Marissa, glad you could join this morning. Yes, you guys, if you get a chance, if you're joining me this morning, make sure you take a second to say hello in the chat. Because you see, I get on a roll, I start going, but I'm glad you're here. This is a conversation. This is not me just saying the things. Like, I want to hear from you as well. So, right now we're talking about, like, okay, we've already talked about the character of who we are. How do we know how to define who we are, or how do we know what else to say about ourselves other than what we do? So we already talked about the characteristics. I'm also wanting to get into the why here. Like, you can also, it's so powerful for you to share your why. So if you think about, I was talking about Seminaire. So we think about Seminaire. Seminaire is an amazing artist. If you have not had a chance to go over to caffeecaffeeco.com, or to go to her handle on Instagram at Caffee Caffee Co. You should go over there. This woman can put pencil to paper and just free flow, make the most beautiful things, the most beautiful illustrations, and not just print illustration, but in any medium that she touches. And while that's a beautiful thing that she does, I also want us to go a little deeper and go to the why behind that. When I think about Sims why, it's not about what she does, it's who she is. There is a part of her that is so creative that it's her outlook on life. It is that when everything else seems like it's gray, Sim can find some color. Sim can find form. She can find beauty. Gosh, it makes me emotional, you guys. I get so excited talking to you guys every week because I need us to know none of that has anything to do with our job title. You're so much more beyond that. Everything that you bring to the table is deeper than the things that you do. But we've never really had anybody to stop and ask us, or help us see what happens beyond that. What happens behind what we do? Where does all of what we do comes from? Because what we do is nothing but a manifestation of who we are. What you do is nothing but a manifestation of who you are, which means you are already amazing. You are already so worthy. You already had so much value so deep inside you way before you did anything, which also means that even if you never did anything ever again, you still have value and worth. And I say that to give us the space to rest, in that we don't have to prove who we are through what we do. Marissa on YouTube is clapping. Come on, yes, because it's true. It was never about what we do. So the thing is, because we live in this like hustle culture, it makes us feel like if we want to be more, that we have to do more rather than growing and resting in who we are, rather than doing the heart work inside of us. Not hard, but heart, HEART, doing that heart work to go deeper inside of getting to know who we are and who God created us to be from the beginning. And so we work harder and harder. We go to from one job to two jobs. We spend all this time trying to make more money. We're trying to keep up with, the new car, the newer house. We prioritize all of this stuff that makes us feel like this is what's actually going to make us feel like that we have the status that we need, that makes us feel like we're worth it, and it's not true. Hey, Enough, thanks so much for joining this morning over on YouTube. Yes, Giovanna says, yes, the hard work. It's necessary when we've been working, working, working. We forget who we are. We do. We do. We get so caught up in who and what we're doing that we completely forget who we are. When someone asks, it's one of the things that we do in my program as I ask, like who you are. Can you describe yourself off the bat? And most people look like a deer in headlights. It's like I ask them a pop quiz and they're like, how am I supposed to know? Have you ever felt like that? uh it's hard. Giovanna says golden handcuffs, right? The job is this golden handcuff that makes us forget. We're so busy looking at the shiny that we forget that we are actually the prize. What's inside of us is the prize. I love that. And then Cafe Co says the hard work is hard work, but it's necessary. Exactly. The hard work is the hard work, but it's absolutely necessary. And if we do that hard work, then we finally can actually see that our value and our worth is something that when we live so deeply from that, everything that we touch becomes golden. Instead of it being those golden handcuffs and all of these other things, we can put those things aside and actually just get down to the core of who we are. And that's where I have found my most fulfillment, is that I enjoy listen, I love what I do, and it is hard. Being an entrepreneur is hard. And I wouldn't change it for the world because I know it is an expression of everything that is inside of me. It's my opportunity to fully show up and give the world exactly who I am. That I don't have to hold back anything for anyone, because it is a gift to not let my job title be the most important thing about me. Gosh, I'm getting excited and all emotional again. I love this. We're connecting deeply over on YouTube. So if you haven't joined my community over there, make sure you go ahead and subscribe so that we can keep doing this, okay? Because my mission is all about us Black women. We don't have to continue to think that we have to work 10 times harder to get ahead. There's space for us not to do that. There's community where we can show up and be exactly who we are, not be judged for it, not to explain it, um, not to have to prove it. All we gotta do is show up and be ourselves. That's what this is about building. So there's a couple things that there's getting back to that why. I'm just checking my notes because I get excited and I go off track, y'all. I'm not gonna act like I'm perfect. Ooh, that's another thing. We're gonna stop acting like we're perfect or stop bullying ourselves to make us feel like we have to be perfect. That's not true. Okay. We don't get I'm going off on a tangent. I'm gonna come back, but this is important. Our In that same effort of saying our job title does not define us, and also saying that we're going to quit being a strong Black woman, the other core part of that is stop allowing the world to make us feel like we're perfect. It's a privilege to be, it has become a privilege for us to be human because humanity is where things make mistakes. Humanity is where things are not perfect. But the beautiful thing about that is our humanity is what makes us beautiful. The flaws, the different ways that we look, the different ways that we show up, our ebbs and flows, all of the parts that make us dynamic, those are so much of what make us beautiful. So we're gonna stop trying to show up as perfect. And let me tell you right now, I ain't perfect. I didn't lost track. We're gonna get back to that. That's a topic for another day. Okay. Okay. I'm back. Okay. So the question I want to come back to, if we're not going to ask someone what you do when when they're introducing themselves or vice versa, then what question can we actually ask that's going to help us get down to the core of um who that person is? Because at the end of the day, I mean, it might be cool to know what you do. And I will learn that in the mix of getting to know that person because it should only be an expression. But to um make it less important to like put that further down on the totem pole, I want to ask a different first question. So I've been trying to think of what a different first question would be. If you have any ideas what that different first question would be, instead of asking what do you do, please put it in the chat. I would love all the ideas. The question that I came up with says, what gets you most excited about life? And here's the thing. I think that might be, again, one of those questions that make us be like, oh my gosh, she just asked me a really deep question, but it doesn't have to be deep. And I also think that that's why we're talking about it now. If we can have an answer for this for ourselves, we can start a movement where we are actually challenging the world to stop defining us by our job and instead ask us who we are. That's what I want to start by this question. I want you to stop asking me what I do and actually start asking me who I am. And in the midst of doing that, I want us to have an answer. So, what gets you most excited about life? Put that in the chat. I could say for me, what gets me most excited about life? Traveling gets me really excited about life. I'm not gonna lie. I think the biggest thing that gets me excited about life is being able to talk about conversations that I get passionate about. I don't know if y'all can tell this through the camera, but I done got teary-eyed about 4 times right now. One of the deepest things about me. Hey, Luciana, thanks for joining over on Instagram. Again, if you're joining, please make sure you say hello in the chat. I can't see it unless you say hello, and I want to make sure I say hello to you. Oh, I love it. Over on Instagram, Jasmine said, what she's answering the question, what things get her excited? She says adventure, traveling, and loving people. Yes. Adventure, traveling, and loving people. All of those things get me excited. Now, can you see how when someone asks you in a conversation, hey, what do? You say, you know what? I really appreciate that question because it's an effort to try and get to know me. But actually, can I answer that a different way? Instead, I want to tell you what excites me the most about life, because then it actually allows you to get to know me a little bit more rather than just my job title. Are you okay with that? First of all, that person's gonna be like, you know what? That I might have to take that. And that's what I hope. I hope that this starts a movement where we actually start shifting away from that question. But then if you have an answer like Jasmine just said, adventure, traveling, and loving people, they're like, oh, I love that combination. How did that come about? Can you see how beautiful, what a dynamic conversation that builds by being able to answer the question in that way? Like, I love it. It changes so much of this limitation. Instead of being limited to say, I'm a missionary, I'm an artist, I'm a coach, I'm a whatever. Instead of being limited by this little itty bitty title, we can actually shift it and really get down to I'm actually this person that's so much bigger than what that title can ever explain about me. Right? Okay. I love it. I got to go to the chat. Marissa says healing. Yes. Come on. Healing is something that definitely gets you excited, Marissa. I love it. I can't wait till we get it. We're going to be doing the live, you guys. So if you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you get subscribed to my channel and to her channel because we're going to have so many great conversations to talk about in this same realm. Okay. Please make sure because Marissa has so much great conversation to talk about this. I love that, Marissa. You are definitely so I could definitely just see how much healing gets you excited. I love it. I love it. Giovanna says experiencing art and nature. Isn't that so much more fun to talk about when you think when you're introducing yourself, saying, I get excited about experiencing art and nature than saying I'm XYZ. Like this is so much better than ever saying, um, this is what I do. Right? It changes it. I love this. Oh, Giovanna says, and for someone who hates to talk, and she put her hand up, that's a game changer. It is a game changer because when you talk about your job title and it makes you immediately feel limited, it's more like you say it and you're like, yeah, I'm this, but that feels like I'm not giving you enough. It makes you feel like someone has already made a determination about you, but from something that doesn't even remotely get into it's like this small determination, the small point of who you are when there's so much, when there's actually this much of you. And it makes us feel like I don't even want to talk to you anymore because that wasn't worth telling you. What I did was not worth telling you. But when I get down to telling you what gets me excited, then I actually want to talk to you more. Even if I'm an introvert, I get excited about talking about nature. I get excited talking about healing. I get excited talking about adventure and traveling and loving people. And now we're actually having a conversation. Now we're actually exchanging ideas. Now we're actually getting to know who each one of us is. It's such a better question to ask, right? So, enough said. I love this question. I get so excited about creativity and sustainability. I love it. And creativity is this beautiful, huge topic that we can talk about so many different things and how we show up in being creative. So this is my shtick. I feel like instead of I want us to stop asking what do we do or what do you do and start asking what gets you excited about life because it's so much more of a dynamic question that allows us to understand who the person is in front of us and what goes down into their heart, their passions, their dreams rather than asking them this limiting question that says what do you do and really just puts us in this competitive hierarchy of where do we stand on a pecking chain on a pecking order. And not only that, that pecking order does not mean we're happy. It is not a measure of how happy we are. It is not a measure of how great our life is. Our title is not a measure of any of those things. So why are we using that as the most important thing about us? We're canceling that out. We're canceling that out. Instead, we're talking about what is it that makes us the most excited? What gets us excited about life? So, okay, you guys, I'm not going to keep you much longer. So, this is what I wanted to talk about this morning. Um I think that this could be a movement that really changes. I talk about hustle culture, toxic productivity, and how we need to exit workaholism and even exit this idea of Black excellence, because none of these things should be things that we're trying to aspire to. None of them are important for us to aspire to. Hustle culture, even Black excellence, none of that. Instead, I want us to aspire to just show up and be fully as we are. And that means that we have to make space and do the heart work. We've been talking about the heart work today, doing the heart work to actually get down to putting to words who we are so that we can talk about who we are and show up more intentionally as that person, rather than it happening by accident, or when we uh by chance, by happenstance, get a chance to make space to be that person. I want us to be able to be that person no matter where we are, what we do, because that is the deep beauty and dynamic part that everybody should experience. This is your light. Like, this is how we put the beauty of our light into words. So, um, because of that, if you have had any trouble being able to really get to take this shift from being a strong Black woman, and making your job title the most important thing about you, I want to help you make that shift. Because if you cannot tell, I cannot more passionately tell you there is so much more to you. And I want to help you bring that out. I want to help you become that woman. And so I do that in my program, and you might want some help to do this. So in my program, it's called Meant for More. It's a coaching program where I take you through a structured journey, an adventure, I like to call it, because heart work, as we already talked about, heart work is so hard, but it's necessary. And to keep it from feeling overwhelming, to keep it from feeling like we're alone in it, to keep it from being traumatic or taking longer than it needs to take, uh I created a program that takes you on the steps that I have gone through, that really makes it a lot easier, and I'm going to be with you throughout the whole process. This is a chance to become all that you already are. The other words, instead of become, I actually want to say it this way. You were born and you stood up in the world, and the world threw so much mud all over you from head to toe. And that mud has got you trapped in things like hustle culture, toxic productivity, this aspiration to be perfect, that you have to be on all the time, that you have to work 10 times harder to be seen and be heard. And I'm saying to you, I figured out how to get out of that mud, and I want to help you get out of that mud too. Okay? That's what this program is like. So, if you're interested in checking it out, go to my landing page. It's meantformore.yourdreamstrategist.com. Again, that's meantformore.yourdreamstrategist.com. So that is what I got for you. Oh, I want to check the chat. Since I quit my job, I have had the most interesting conversations with wow, conversations with people, because we can no longer discuss work. Right. Work becomes the main conversation. It's literally like, well, this is what's happening at work, and this drama is here, and literally it becomes on the main thing that we talk about. Now, I get it in that it is where we spend so much of our time. And how do we switch that so that we can actually talk about the dynamic of our life? Because work is not supposed to be the most important thing about you. It's supposed to be the tool that empowers us to live our life, not our life, right? That's such a good word. It's like we have to, if we don't take the time to switch where our conversation goes and what's more important to us with intentionality, the work, we never actually get to this place where work is the tool. We will continue to think that work is the most important thing, and it's not. It's really just supposed to be the thing that empowers us, that gives us the money to live. Living is what's supposed to be the most important thing. Thank you so much for saying that enough. Giovanna says, great conversation and comments from everyone. Yes, I appreciate this conversation so, so much. I thank you for stopping in, Giovanna. I'm so excited and I can't wait. You guys, I did a collaboration with Giovanna as well. So I'm looking forward to putting her video out in the next week or so. So that is wonderful. Okay. So Marissa said, that is a wonderful visualization. Yes, I appreciate that. Being able to take this step back. And you guys, okay, so I had one thing that we talked about, let's start asking the question, what gets you excited about life? Okay, that's one thing. And we're switching that from what do we do or what do you do? But I also love, thanks for calling this out, Marissa, that visualization of really taking a step back and thinking about and letting it really set into your spirit, into your heart, that God one by one said your name. He said Marissa. He said Giovanna. He said Jasmine. He literally said your name and he didn't rush on to the next one like I just did. He sat down and he thought about single bit of you. I this is where some of my creativity comes out. I literally imagine him being on this massive porch. He's in a rocking chair or an adirondack chair. And I'm even gonna say he's smoking a cigarette. Mainly because, not because I think we should smoke. Please don't take it that way. But I think of the smoke because as the smoke comes out of the cigarette, he's thinking about you, and the smoke is turning into this drawing of you, this beautiful, dynamic drawing of you. And in that, he's thinking about uh, how you're encouraging, how you're so diligent, how you have this deep compassion for people, how you are resilient, how you are passionate. He's all of those things are coming out and the smoke is just forming. And he's seeing you form right before his eyes. He's literally building the magnificence that he has inside of you right as he's sitting in this chair before you come into the world. He already knew you were amazing. He already knew you were amazing. Now it's just our time to actually see just how amazing he's always seen us to be. God has always seen us to be that way. But the world has thrown that mud on us. And so when we look in the mirror, we're seeing the mud rather than seeing all of who he created us to be. Thanks for calling that out, Marissa. So what I was about to say, okay, so in one step, take some time and answer that question. What gets us most excited about life? But also take some time and think about how God visualized you and let that really settle into your spirit. I hope that as that settles into your spirit, that it does this shift inside of you that helps you feel love on the deepest level, because that is the love that is actually the most important thing about you. Okay, so let that settle in, you guys. I could go on and on about this, so I'm going to end with this. If you are having a hard time putting into words or visualizing, doing that visualization of, how does God see you? What is the pure beauty of who you are? Even defining who you are. These are all the things that I do inside of my program. And so, um, if you need help going through this transformation, I would love to talk to you. I would love to help you make this transformation, because this is the transformation that took me from feeling like my worth came from all these external things to actually realizing that every day that I woke up was a manifestation of my worth, because God gave me an opportunity to be a light. And all I had to do was wake up and do that. That whole statement where it's like the devil said, "Oh crap, she's awake." Yes, that's what this looks like. We're putting that in words, okay? So again, if you are interested, make sure that you head to my landing page. It's meantformore.yourdreamstrategist.com. That is meant for more www.yourdreamstrategist.com. You guys, it is always so much fun talking to you every week. It's been really fun doing this as a live every week, and it's going to be a live every Wednesday for at least the next 2 months. So make sure that you like, subscribe, turn on notifications so that you can join me again here next Wednesday at 9 a.m. It's going to be a fun time. I don't have my schedule of what I'm talking about next week, but thank you so much for taking the time to have this conversation with me. You guys have a great, amazing, amazing day today and have a great holiday. Happy Happy World Independence Day or United States Independence Day. All right, y'all have a great rest of your day. Bye bye.